Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Taff's Words. It's time to do one because I've not been doing them, and I say that all the time. I just haven't really had the time to do them. I don't do them in my car as often as I used to. Mainly because the bloody thing keeps falling out all the time. Taff en route ain't so bad when I'm sat on a motorway and I'm on straight road, but you know, I got to catch time when I got a little bit of a few free minutes to record this thing. But I thought I had to make some time this week. I mean, if Carlsberg did weeks in football, this would be one of them for us in particular. Obviously, we started the week in high anticipation of the prospect of playing Leicester City at home if we defeated an old foe in Wrexham. Now, we went up there and probably should have lost the game. If they had a striker or two who could stick the ball in the net, they probably would have. And if we didn't have Joe Day in the sticks, then, again, we probably would have. But we didn't. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of their fans are chirping on saying, oh, yeah, we deserved to win the first game. It's like, well, no, technically you didn't deserve to win the first game because you didn't score any goals in the first game. The whole point of winning a football match is by scoring more goals than the other team. They didn't. Neither did we. Thus a draw, and then a replay down at Ronnie Parade. Some clutching at straws saying that it wasn't a red card. It definitely was 100% a red card. And you would have seen the image of that just before this started. So, 2 feet in the air, flying through the air, losing control, player running right at you. That's a red card. Dangerous play, horrible challenge. Could have really hurt Mickey Dimitriou. Thankfully it didn't. It took them to bully him later in the game and fracture his cheekbone to hurt him. So a bit of thuggishness from the Wrexham players, a bit like their fans when we were up there a couple of weeks ago with the coin throwing and the brick through the window and all the vile abuse in the streets and everything like that. It was one of the most unsafe I've ever felt at a football match. Not that I'm scared of anyone or I couldn't look after myself if shit had gone down, but I had people around me who I would have wanted to look after, and if I'm fearing for their safety, then I'm just outright fearing, of course, but not for my own, because I can look after myself if that sort of thing happens. But I go to a lot of places and you feel a little uneasy at times, but up there you felt genuinely unsafe. So I'm really glad they got the reception that they got down here, especially when we were beating them, and we really, really rubbed it into them, and I loved every second of it. Not that I hate Wrexham, I don't particularly like them, but there are a few people who I've spoken to, Wrexham supporters, who I got a lot of time and respect for. One, I got a guy called Carl on Facebook, who I got a lot of time for, proper genuine supporter, proper genuine bloke, and, I'm pretty certain that the majority of them are genuinely nice people. Not like the ones on Twitter hoping that our club go bust again. That's something you just don't wish on anybody. Especially when they were in a position where they could have done a couple of years ago before they took over the football club through their supporters trust like we did. Because at the end of the day, if they'd lost their club, they certainly wouldn't be wishing it on anybody else, because when you've been through that, it's not something you would wish on anybody. Even Cardiff. Even Man United, on my part as well. So, we obviously won the game 4-0. We romped it in the end. It took them going into 10 men. That's the only thing that takes, a bit of it away from me. It's one little thing, and that's because the fact they were down to 10 men, and that's why they can say, oh, it's only because we were down to 10 men. If we had 11, we probably would have beaten you. No. We played that well, and our Twitter feed actually said this. They could have had 15 men on the pitch and we'd have still beaten them 4-0. Or maybe not 4, but we still would have beaten them. We still would have stuck goals on them because we played that well. I think Wilmot had one of the games of his bloody life the other night. I thought when he came on, he was electric. I thought Baconson was a lot better. Matt and Hammond obviously getting goals. It's good to see the strikers scoring. It's good to see Butler. Oh my God, what a goal from Butler. Oh, and no, it was great. It was a great game of football. It was a great atmosphere from our supporters. We sent them home unhappy. I mean, I got a respect for for them all for coming down on a Tuesday night, and fair play. They took more numbers than what we did, but at the end of the day, you could have predicted that they took about 30 more fans. Fair enough. I was on a Saturday night. Theirs was on a Tuesday night, but it's more. Thing is, the tables are turned between Wrexham and Newport because it used to be Wrexham were the superior club, Newport were the minnows in the derby, so Wrexham were always expected to beat us. But the tables are turned on this one, so it was a bigger game for them than it was for us, and as for them, it was the whole revenge thing. For us, it was keep them down where they belong, that sort of thing. And I loved singing about the playoffs. I loved singing about Jolly and O'Connor, and I loved the fact that O'Connor was there. And if you're watching this as a awesome, really, really proper happy that you were there to see that. Obviously, you scored a goal in the first time round, and then you were there to see that then as well. If only Jolly was there as well. I mean, Flinney was there, Pipey was there. A lot of the gang, were there for it, and it was great. It was absolutely great. Yeah, so moving on from that, Flinney's being linked with another bloody job. Bristol Rovers, personally, I think if he wasn't going to go to Shrewsbury, he's not going to go to Bristol Rovers, because there's one thing to go to a club, that's a little bit above the level of Newport County, but with no real sort of, friction between the two sets of supporters. If you're going to go, you don't go to a rival. That's the thing. You don't leave Newport County when you're a Newport lad to go to Bristol Rovers, who are a rival club, the seven-side derby. Because you imagine if Rovers come down and he's a manager of Bristol Rovers and he brings a Bristol Rovers team to Newport, I'm sure that feeling would go through his head. And personally, I think he's got a team that's playing for him. He's got a club and a board that are backing him. He can be ambitious here. And as long as he's doing well in the cups and bringing in the money, he's got money to put into his squad. I can't see any reason why he'd want to move on just yet. Unless it is a much bigger club, with a more relishing sort of challenge. Rather than trying to keep teams up, he wants to be pushing the top end of League One to be taking teams to the Championship. I mean, if I was a manager, that's what I would want to do anyway. But talking about Flinney and making good decisions, he's obviously made the decision to send Charlie Cooper back to Forest Green, which is, again, part of why I call this the Carlsberg week, because it's been a great week. Charlie Cooper, and it's nothing personal. If you're watching this, or any of the players are watching this, I know Josh Labardi watches this sometimes, so others may do as well. If you're watching this, Charlie, it's not a personal thing. I know you would have given, your best for us, but end of the day, you got to be realistic. You just weren't good enough for us at this time, at this level. Not to say you're never going to be a good footballer ever, still a young player. We'll go back to Forest Green, we'll probably find another loan deal. Hopefully for you, you'll go to somewhere that's more your level, and then you can progress in the right way, because when you punch above your weight in football, it's over for you before you've even started. You're too far behind. When you get left behind in football, you're finished. And if you're too far behind and you're trying to punch above your weight, it's no good. But you progress with the right steps, you can eventually get to that level if you work with the right people in the right setup and get the right training, get the right people to rub off on you, and you never know what you can become. But all in all, it's good news that Charlie's gone back, because it will free up some budget for us to strengthen another area, because obviously Labardi coming in, Crofts coming back from injury, Dolan coming back from injury, Wilmot coming back from injury, Bennett coming back from injury. There was never going to be a place in the team for Charlie Cooper anyway. So what I think now is we got 4 strikers who can score goals. Our midfield is packed. We got Marsh Brown on his way back as well, and we got all the fullback positions covered. Forbes is back, Pipe is in, Butler, Pring for the left back position. The position we need to strengthen, because we've got a good backup keeper now, which is great, because Joe Day is playing. I think Joe Day has been better this season than he's been any other season for us. he is playing. He is giving his best performances that I've ever seen him give, and that I think is because he's being pushed by a hungry number 2 that's waiting and willing to take his place in the team. So it's keeping him on his toes. It's great. So I think it's bringing the best out of him. So that's great. So where do we need to strengthen then? Central defence is where we need to strengthen, because the defenders there who have got their place sewn up in the team, or it's in their head that, oh yeah, I'm starting. You know, so sometimes they feel, not so much that they haven't got to give their best, but it puts them in a position where they could do better, but their subconscious won't allow them to do better because they know they're getting their place and they're getting their wage. And it's natural human instinct, that is, to not push yourself past your potential if you're in a position where you don't need to, you know. So I think Dimitri has played some of his worst for us this season so far. Not to say that he's a bad footballer by any stretch of the imagination, because he's still one of the best players we got, you know. But I think he's taken his eye off the ball a little. But at the end of the day, like I say, he's still one of our best players and a very fitting vice captain, 100%. If anything, I think he should just be given the captaincy permanently, because I think that would bring better out of him. But not to say he's been bad. That's the thing. He's not been bad this season. He's just not been as good as we're used to seeing him. Franks has been a revelation in the central defence, but you can't say he's played any better than Dimitri. I suppose, arguably, you could say that. I think because Franks is new and he's impressed, and Dimitri has been with us for a couple of years and isn't pushing forward or anything like that, he isn't playing better. We're not noticing the good performances in Dimitri, but we're noticing him in Franks because he's new. But then that'll wear off. So I think the defence needs a kick up the backside a little, because we have conceded some poor sloppy goals, and not to mention the 6 we conceded against Yeovil, which was all bad defending. You know, they all had a bad day at the office that day. I think all 11 did, didn't they? But you know, one centre back, you know, use the Cooper money, and if we got obviously use a little bit of the FA Cup money, get one really good centre back now, and then I think we got a real shot if we can get some consistency, and that's the key thing, is the consistency. I mean, you can tell we're inconsistent, but we're hitting more than we're missing. We're very hit and miss, but we're hitting more than we're missing, because we're winning more games than what we're losing, but we're still having these low points which we want to push past. But we're still punching above our weight, though, in the place, you know, in where we are. We're in a playoff spot, you know, with one of the lowest budgets in the league. So we got to be happy with where we are. But that's the thing, when they get themselves into that top 3, pushing for the top spot like we were, we raised that bar like we did last season. And then when we fell off the boil, you know, people started moaning about the manager, started picking the bones out of Flynn and his way of managing the team, or has he lost the dressing room and all that. No, can't speculate about that sort of stuff, because basically, where Flynn's concerned, Flynn is getting it right more than he's getting it wrong, but he's still a young manager learning. You know, can you imagine? He can only really get better. So I think that goes with a lot of our players. There's still a lot of youngsters in our team, like Forbes. Everyone's kicking off about Forbes being bad at defending, but so was Butler when he first joined the club. After a full season, with the influence of Wayne Hatswell being on the coaching staff, Butler is now a top-class League 2 left-back, potentially League 1, even Championship one day. Forbes could be the same. Just give him the time. But then, anyway, I've nattered on for nearly 15 minutes now. 15 minutes of your life you're never going to get back watching me and my ugly mug spating shit. So I'm going to leave it there. But honestly, guys, thanks for watching. And obviously, thanks for 2k subs. Well done to the winners of the Taff Live giveaway. If we push towards the 3,000 mark, maybe we'll have more giveaways. So there's an incentive to go out and get us some more subscribers. You know, get everybody to subscribe. You know, your mums, your dads, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, you know, your teachers, your work colleagues, you know, your dog, your cat, you know, your grandmother, your grandfather, whoever. Get the subscribers up, get people watching, because we make money for the club off the back of this as well. You know, we're en route to make triple figures this year. So let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Thanks for your support, and of course, please show some love and support to our sponsors, the Scrum Half Pub as well. The guys support the club financially as well. So anyone who helps the club in any way should definitely get the love of the Canty supporters. As much as we got our own pub, which makes the club money, these people who put their money into the club should also get the love of the fans as well, in my opinion. So let's hope I see a few of you down there before the game on Saturday. Obviously before going down to the bush to get a pint or two in there, so make sure the club gets them as well. So happy days. Thank you all for watching again, and until next time, cheerio for now, and as always, up the Canty. Many thanks for watching the latest content on the Amber Army channel. Please make sure you leave us a like. Make sure you subscribe for more content, both for the neutral football fan and also plenty of Newport County. Even more Newport County content can be found on the club's iFollow channel on the link above. It is just £4.49 per month to subscribe to that service. And those of you feeling extra generous can also support us on Patreon on the link at the bottom there. That would be a monthly donation of your choice. Thank you again. Make sure you've subscribed, and as always, up the County.